Hello. Do you ever get the feeling that the world is making fun of you? This man will definitely answer that it does happen to him. He's trapped in a room that presents him with riddles and challenges. Will there be a reward at the end of his suffering? Watch this fantastic story to the end and find out. An old yellow pickup truck rushes down a dirt road somewhere in the Mexican countryside. A pretty girl in a nun's dress is at the wheel. That's Karen. She's smoking, listening to the radio, and hurtling through the bumps at breakneck speeds towards home. There, in the meantime, a woman is scolding her son Antonio for minor misbehavior. The boy escapes punishment and goes to school with his sister. The grandfather sees him off. They agree to meet after school at the church and watch a certain fight together. All this time, the father of the family has been sitting at a table wearing a wrestler's mask, listening to the radio and reading a newspaper. It's his fight that the family is about to watch. The man is deep in thought and silent. The woman looks at her husband. She doesn't like his tense state. The man does have a lot to worry about though. In today's battle, he is facing an opponent 12 years younger than him, and he himself is far from being in great shape. The yellow pickup pulls in front of the house and stalls. Karen gets out and punches the hood of the car a couple of times to start it up and drive her father into town. The girl is in a hurry to get there on time. She gets nervous and showers the other drivers with curses to get them out of the way. We are taken to a snow-white room. A small feather flies in front of a sleeping man's face. It passes through the hard surface of the floor and disappears. The man wakes up. He's wearing brightly colored polka dot pajamas. He looks around in bewilderment at where he is. A rectangular, empty white room. The only thing his eyes can catch is a gleam of light somewhere high above his head. In confusion, the hero walks around the room, probing the walls with his hands, and notices a protruding figure at the eye level. He approaches to examine it, touches the object, and then gently presses on it. This triggers the first delirium-like event. The whole room is filled with white angels, little childlike figures with wings, flying around, laughing. There seems to be an infinite number of them. They disappear into the walls as quickly as they appeared, leaving only little angelic genitalia protruding from every surface in the room. With horror, the man realizes exactly what he has touched. Shocked, he screams hysterically, standing in the middle of the room. Having let off his steam, our hero begins to examine the trap he has fallen into. Overwhelmed by the feeling of disgust, the man returns his attention to the angelic penises and touches one of them. This causes a toothbrush to fall on the floor on the other side of the room. Thus, it becomes clear to him that different things can happen if he continues. So the man, with indifference and detachment, presses on the genitalia hanging around. Finally, one of the touches works and the man receives a megaphone. He uses it to call for any other human being to find out where he is and what's going on here. No one answers. Then a bonsai tree, a huge clay vase, and a pile of chopsticks falls out of the walls. When the man, looking straight ahead in detachment, presses one of the buttons non-stop, there is already a shadow of madness on his face. One time, he accidentally misses and a heavy cart jumps out of a nearby wall and bumps into his legs. The pain brings him back to his senses and to another tantrum. He grabs the megaphone and screams as loudly as he can. Then, enraged, he walks to the wall and presses the button again. Only now he doesn't receive a new item, but a taunt instead. An angelic butt turns to his face and lets out a cloud of gas. Antonio is at school. At recess, he looks at a magazine with an article about the Escargot man. It's his father's nickname, under which he performs in fights. His classmates notice this and make fun of Antonio. The boy defends his father and says that he is very strong. For Antonio, his father is a real hero. The man in the snow-white room continues to explore the space. There are already a lot of different objects lying on the floor. For example, maracas, a stool, cushions. The guy himself is sitting in the middle of the room on a chase lounge, holding a plunger with a cane. He has a mask on his face and holds a pink inflatable ball in his other hand. Exhausted from sitting like this, he gets up and throws the ball. A plate of sushi falls out of the wall. Intrigued by the food, the hero approaches and examines it. The saucer for the soy sauce is empty. The man is clearly hungry, but wants sushi sauce nonetheless. To find it, he presses various, buttons. But the result is the same, no sauce. Soon he has a small pile of rice and fish in front of him. The man relents, shoving the sushi into his mouth. Once he has eaten all of it, the cherished soy sauce bottle jumps out of the wall. He gets angry, realizing that he is just being mocked here. 3D glasses are the next surprise from the room. The hero puts them on. A figure of an angel becomes visible through the lenses. It calls the man to come closer. At first he resists, but eventually surrenders. The light in the room goes out. A countdown appears on the wall. The situation looks life-threatening, and the man screams and begs to stop whatever is happening. And what happens is, again, complete absurdity. A huge ass comes down on him from above. It fills the entire perimeter of the room, threatening to crush the man. When the countdown reaches 0, the ass stops just a couple of meters from him, releases a cloud of gas, and retreats upwards. The Escargot man arrives at the arena. In the dressing room, he opens the door of his locker. Inside hangs a picture of his family. For the sake of supporting them, he goes out to fight time after time. This picture cheers him up, just like the cross and the icon in the corner of the shelf. The Snow White room continues to mock its prisoner. The man is reading baseball manga. He already holds the 5th part in his hands. He finishes it and wants to get to the 6th episode. He will not read the sequel, though the room gives him parts number 7, 8, then 9, but not 6. However, the hero doesn't give up so easily. This leads to a doorway appearing in the wall behind him, but the man doesn't see it. The guy is used to the fact that his actions have some sort of result, so he decides to press the button again and double check what happens. He does not find the right one on the first try though. Initially he makes a mistake, and an African aborigine appears in the room. Then another failure. A jet of water pours down on him from above. And finally, success. The man has found where to press so that an opening appears in the wall, behind which there is a door to freedom. Except there's no way to get to the door. The door is in one part of the room, the button is in the other. If he lets go, the doorway disappears almost immediately. All his attempts end in failure. The hero does not admit defeat. He comes up with a plan. To press the button with a large vase, but its weight is not enough to make the plan work. Then, he remembers the water jet and decides to fill the vase with water. Again, this doesn't work. The Escargot man prays and crosses himself before going into battle. In church, Karen is also praying for her father. A gong bell calls the Escargot man into the ring. The man in the room decides to fill the vase in a different way, with sushi. Once the vase is full, it turns out that he can't lift it now. He takes the chopsticks and pulls out the rice and fish. This takes him a long time. Finally, he's pulled out so much that he can lift the vase. Now, he can't remember where to put it exactly. Instead of a doorway, the aborigine appears right in front of him again. He crashes into the vase and cracks it open. That was the last straw. Now the man, just like the vase, is full of sushi and immeasurable anger. He becomes hysterical. In this state, he tries to find a way to leave the doorway open. Nothing works. His rage intensifies. The locals gather in the arena to watch the wrestling fight. Antonio and his grandfather are already there to support their fighter and have taken seats in the audience. The man in the room is still looking for a way to get to the door. All of a sudden, he finds a rope, and he immediately comes up with the genius idea of opening the doorway, swinging on the rope and sliding into it. It worked. Yet the door inside turns out to be locked. Random luck helps the man find the key. He repeats his plan with the rope and ends up at the door with the key. He twists it in the keyhole, but the door won't open. It turns out that there is also a code lock on top. The code for this lock the man finds on the back of the head of the aborigine, who had already appeared in the room several times. The man has removed the lock, the door is opened, and the doorway closed. Only he's not free, but trapped again. There's not enough room for him in the cramped corridor to squeeze through the doorway. He calls for help. Of course, there is no answer. The man cries on the floor, remembering the good times he had in the room. His misery is interrupted by a draft. The hero feels the wind blow and pushes one of the walls of his cage to the side. Behind it is a long corridor. He rushes to escape. In the meantime, the fighters are called into the arena. They must fight until knockout, with no time limit. A total of 4 come out. The crowd chants and cheers them on. The Escargot man comes out on the ring too. The man is running down the corridor for a long time. Finally, he finds himself in another room. It's dark in there. There are angels sleeping on the walls, though they are no longer children, but grown men. The guy screams in despair, thinking that he has fallen into the same trap and now needs to get out again. The fight has begun in the arena. The wrestlers taunt each other mercilessly to the screams of the crowd. The Escargot man waits his turn behind the ropes while the other fighters mutilate each other. When one of the fighters is beaten to a pulp and eliminated, the Escargot man enters the ring. His opponents attack him. It's a real massacre. The man in the room acts according to proven pattern. He wants to press the genitalia button. Detached, he approaches the wall with his arm outstretched. The fight in the ring is gaining momentum. Two parallel stories are approaching the point of intersection. One wrestler holds the Escargot man from behind, blocking his arms, while the other approaches him to hit him right on his head with a chair. At that very moment, the man in the room presses a button. Something happens in the ring. The wrestler's neck stretches out like a snail's, and he headbutts his opponent, dealing a crushing blow. The man in the room presses another button. The Escargot man's head goes in the other direction and knocks out the second opponent. Nothing happens in the room. Now all events are reflected on the outside world. The Escargot man wins. The crowd explodes. Antonio runs happily to his father. The man in the room, meanwhile, does not understand why nothing is happening. He keeps pressing, waiting for the result. The Escargot man keeps smashing everyone in the ring. The other winner, the referee, and even his son. And then he starts banging his head on the gong in rhythm, with the man in the room squeezing angelic genitals. With his actions in the room, the man triggers various events around the world. The frontman of a rock band in Los Angeles spews a thick jet of fire from his mouth. A magician in Russia screws up his disappearance. A man in China starts barking at dogs. The emptiness and silence in the room leads our hero to the idea of climbing up to the source of light. He scales the wall like a rock climber. Each, ledge he leans on produces some sort of event in the world. He climbs for a very long time. So long, in fact, that his hair and beard have grown back while he was doing it. The higher he climbs, the easier it is for him. Then some force pulls him up, and the man just floats in space, approaching the light. As he flies through the bright white veil, he finds himself back in the room. A map of the world appears on the walls, and in front of him is an incredibly large genitalia. He has to press it, and the man takes a step forward to do what he is destined for. The movie title is, as always, in the description of the video. The ending of the movie is open. The creators let our imagination decide what happened next. Share your interpretation in the comments. And don't forget to like the video and make sure not to miss the next episode.